Hello everyone, and welcome to another tutorial from PowerDirector Made Simple. If you've been faithfully updating your 365 version of PowerDirector every month, then you've probably been wondering what the heck is up with the thumbnail images for the various transitions. Yes folks, CyberLink just couldn't keep from fixing something that wasn't broken. Let's take a look at what damage was done and what has changed. For the past 10,000 years, videographers have been very comfortable with describing any transition based on the change from scene A to scene B. Thus, any visual representation in the form of a thumbnail to represent a transition was shown as merely a single image showing the change from the letter A to the letter B. Now, CyberLink followed this rule right up to a month or two ago, when they started to introduce their new concept of a transition thumbnail, which shows a photo image of a scene partially through the transition. The single image contains portions of the scene before and portions of the scene afterwards. The only problem is that sometimes you can't tell which image is coming and which image is going. Now don't laugh. If you haven't seen some of these yet, just wait. First, let's take a quick look at the old-fashioned method. I'll start by showing you some screenshots of what things used to look like in an older version of PowerDirector version 21 Ultimate, which you are now viewing. Of course, the entire user interface looks different, so right now I'm going to click on the icon showing a rectangle with what looks to be a lightning bolt on it, which depicts the transition room, as they used to call it. I'll stop the preview window from displaying anything for now by clicking in a blank area between transitions shown in the library window. The next thing you should notice is that there is a much larger number of categories along the left side. Now you'd think somebody would take the time to actually count up the number of categories and the total number of transitions and compare it with the current version of PowerDirector 365. Well, when I looked in the mirror, I found somebody. Here are the actual comparisons. As you can see, the 365 subscription version has a total of 637 transitions in 18 different categories, while the version 21 Ultimate has a total of only 469 transitions in 35 different categories. When compared to the older version, many categories have been renamed. For instance, the General category in version 21 is now called the Basic category in 365. And it contains some additional transitions from other old categories that were merged into it. As I click on that old General category, just look at the thumbnail for each transition. For example, the image of the box transition near the top clearly shows the A scene disappearing into a box in the center of the screen to reveal the B scene. All that info is presented in just the still image of the thumbnail. As I hover the mouse over the thumbnail, all of that action is confirmed. Now let's look next at the Rotate CW, which means clockwise. We'll look at that image in the next row down, and you can easily discern that the B scene will rotate into view covering the A scene. I'll hover the mouse over the thumbnail, and that is confirmed. If I further click on the thumbnail to select it, you can see a larger representation of the transition in the preview window. Now moving down to the Spin category, on the left side, I'll stop the preview window. Take a look at the swing thumbnail. Is there any doubt as to what will happen just by looking at the still image in the thumbnail? I'll click on it, and that's exactly what shows in the preview window. Now, not all of the old-style thumbnail images were perfect, but for the most part, we were all happy with the way they worked. A quick hover of the mouse or a click to confirm is all it took for those few images that might have been somewhat obscure in their meaning. In other words, there was nothing wrong with the way the old system worked. It wasn't broken, and nobody was complaining. But now we are going to switch over to the current 365 subscription version and take a look at what CyberLink wants us to believe is the new and improved method of presenting transition thumbnails. Through the magic of chemistry and a little bit of video editing, you are now looking at the main window of the 365 version of PowerDirector. I'll click on Transitions at the top, and let's take a quick look at the categories along the left side. There's not quite as many as appeared in the version 21. There are 18 categories now compared to the 35 previously. But my own personal complaint still exists. Why, oh why, can't CyberLink learn to alphabetize the names of the categories? If I want to find the brush category, I'm forced to slowly slide up and down the list until I find it, all the while hoping that I don't overlook it. For now, I'm going to click on the category Blur along the left side, which is about halfway down. One other minor detail with the new versions is that the first transition is not automatically selected, so I don't have to stop the preview window. But to make matters worse, once I open up any of the categories and I scroll down towards the last one, you'll see that once again the idea of alphabetic order does not exist in CyberLink land. Now within this blur category, you can see the big change is that the A-B images have been replaced with one picture of a skateboarder that appears on every single transition in this category. Look at each one and you can tell that some of the images may be obvious based on the names such as Blur or Blur01. But can you honestly tell the difference between Blur 04, 05, 06, 07, and 08 just by looking at the thumbnail image? The answer is obviously no. As I hold the mouse over each of those blur images, can you now tell any difference? It seems that they are all the same. Now, even if I click on each one and watch it in the preview window, they all seem alike. If I were to apply each one as a transition between two scenes on the timeline, we might be able to tell the difference then. But the point is that the thumbnail image itself no longer gives that much of a clue anymore. Now, just a further bit down on the left side is the split category. A few of those seem to give a clue, but scrolling down to split 01 through 15 should get you really confused. Yes, each one is different, and if you take the time to really concentrate on and examine each thumbnail, you might be able to vaguely see the differences. But why should it be this difficult? Scrolling almost all the way down on the left side is the Alpha category. When I select it, you can see that it remains the last holdout for the changeover to the new thumbnails. Why? I don't know. Perhaps I'm not even supposed to have this category show up on my 365 version because my computer has several older versions of PowerDirector installed, and for some reason the old Alpha category still remains visible when I'm running in 365 mode. For all you 365 users, check your system to see if you have an Alpha category and if it also appears using the old A-B images. For now, let's just take a look at any thumbnail image here, and you can easily tell exactly what is going to happen. For example, when I look down near the end of the images, star, I can tell that the A scene will give way to the B scene, which appears coming out from a star outline starting in the middle of the screen. I'll prove that by clicking on it and watching it in the preview window. How much simpler can it get? Well, there's my rant for today. Obviously, I'm not a fan of these new photo image based thumbnails. Bring back the old AB images. CyberLink, you have made a mistake, and this was not a step forward. So what's your opinion about the change to these single photo images? Let us know which method you prefer by leaving a comment below. Once again, I thank all of you for watching this video. Please hit like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.